Good morning and namaste everyone. Today we will be discussing on the mucormycosis. As we are knowing that after this COVID-19 pandemic, mainly in India and Nepal and around the world, there are many reports of mucormycosis. We have termed that a new term, that is COVID-associated mucormycosis, in a patient who has been improved, who has been came to home after improvement from the COVID-19. We know that patients who were moderate to severely affected with the COVID-19 were undergone the steroid treatment, and those people who were on steroids, and if he or she has previously pre-existing diabetes, then there will be the high chance of developing this mucormycosis in those patients. So the combination, if the patient has diabetic and there is a use of steroid, or you have to remember that all the patient who has improved from the COVID-19 will not get this mucormycosis. Only those patients who have been diabetes and used high dose of steroids, or patient who have used not have previously diabetes but have used high dose of steroids, that leads to the decrease in the immunity. And since the immunity power, the immunity fighting capacity of the blood cells, neutrophils all has been decreased, then there will be the high chance of developing this mucormycosis. So coming to the point of what is mucormycosis actually, this is the one of the fungi. If you classify the fungi broadly, there is on the basis of the morphology, there is the yeast, that is a round structure, which we yeast like, mold and dimorphic fungi. So in yeast, the example is Cryptococcus. In yeast-like, the example is Candida species. In molds, the example are Dermatophyte, Aspergillus, Mucor. These are the diagnosis example of molds. And then there is another term, that is the dimorphic fungi, which we called which we say as the dimorphic because they grow in the two different temperature, and there is totally two different temperature grown. That example are Cystoplasma capsulatum, Blastomyces dermatitis, Coccidioides imitis, Paracoccidioides, and this Penicillium marnifi, all those. But we don't require that. We need to focus on the mucormycosis and mainly on the COVID-associated mucormycosis. So let's talk about it. What are the cause of the mucormycosis? And that is caused by the mucorales, which belongs to the molds, and their genera are mainly responsible are Rhizopus and Mucor. Where they are found? They are found everywhere. Found in air, found in soil, found in the decomposing organic matter such as rotten fruit and vegetable leaves and animal manure. So you can get the spore of this mucor everywhere in environment, mainly in the summer season, and we found that there is the more spore circulating in the environment. And since this spore come into the nose, and there are the two possibility, they can stay in the nose and cause the extensive lesion, or they can directly go into the lung. So let's classify mucormycosis. What are the types of mucormycosis? The first type is mucormycosis is known as the rhinoorbital cerebral mucormycosis, and then second one is the pulmonary mucormycosis. There are other mucormycosis as well. Suppose somebody can develop the gastrointestinal mucormycosis, since this found in everywhere in the environment. When you have a road traffic accident and we have an extensive cut, and if they spore enter inside that wound, then that causes infection and local infection as well. But since we are talking about not about those two types, gastrointestinal or the subcutaneous, we are mainly focusing on the rhinoorbital cerebral mucormycosis and pulmonary mucormycosis, which is more common in the post-COVID improved patient. So let's talk about the rhinoorbital cerebral mucormycosis. When you inhale the spore, so look, if the spore enters inside your nose, then they germinate over there, and then they spread into your from the nose. They doesn't follow the anatomical barrier. They can spread from the nose to this overlying skin or under nasal sinuses. Then they spread to your eye. Then when they spread direct from nose to the brain or from the eye to the brain. So they doesn't follow any anatomical barrier. They spread extensively, and the problem, what symptoms they will develop? They will develop the symptoms like nasal. There will be nasal blockage. There can be a discharge, there wet discharge, that can be black, brown, even blood can be discharged. Then there will be their orbital pain, headache pain, your facial pain, facial numbness, swelling around your eyes, and if the lesion is extensive, then there can be due to the necrosis of the skin, there will be the black scar. So due to the presence of that black skin, it is known as the black fungus, not a because it produced the melanin. There is no provision of producing melanin. So we should know that this is the scar. Because of that, it has known recently in the media, although it is no misnomer, but in the media and general public, that it has been propagated, or it has been projected like it is as a black fungus. So what are the symptoms of ROCM? Normally, we have came to know that a spore that enter inside the nose, germinate, and they can spread locally and spread extensively to the brain, and people can die. We should remember that people can die. 50% of people, there is a death rate. So among 2 people, 1 is going to die if we are not going to diagnose early or treat adequately. Okay. So symptoms: nasal blockage, nasal discharge, bloody or brownish or black, facial pain, headache or vital pain, toothache, fever, skin lesion, thrombosis, necrosis, that is the black scar. If that spore is directly inhaled into the lungs, then if it goes inside your lungs, then they will damage your lung parenchyma, and that is known as called the necrotizing pneumonia. So you develop the necrotizing pneumonia. Okay, then patient will develop fever, cough, chest pain, pleural effusion, hemoptysis, there will be the blood in your cough, worsening of the respiratory syndrome. How can you diagnose the cases? You can diagnose by 2 ways. First, you have to do the radiological imaging. In radiology chest X-ray or in a CT scan of the chest, you will find that there is a reverse halo sign. Early there will be the halo sign, and which will be due to the extensive damage of the parenchyma, there will be the reverse halo sign. So CT scan, thick wall lung cavity, reverse halo sign, and multiple nodules and pulmonary effusion can be present. What are the other thing that can support? Repeatedly negative galactomannan and beta-glucan test. This galactomannan and beta-glucan are positive in other fungus like Aspergillus. You can find galactomannan positive. So this mucor and Aspergillus both are the mold, both are the branching filamentous fungi, and they what do? How can we differentiate? We can differentiate between them by microbiological diagnosis. On the basis of the X-ray or the CT scan, we cannot differentiate it with this. But there is a test like galactomannan which is present, which is positive in Aspergillus but negative in mucormycosis. And if galactomannan is negative, you found the thick wall cavity lesion, reverse halo sign, and if it not TB, then we have to think as this may be a mucormycosis. Okay. So now coming to the, if you have known the where this is found, how they can present inside you. There can be rhinoorbital cerebral mucormycosis or pulmonary mucormycosis. Now how it can be diagnosed in the lab? In the lab, usually the doctor, mainly the ENT surgeons or ophthalmologist, where the disease has been spread. If you are talking about the rhinoorbital cerebral mucormycosis, then ENT surgeon or the ophthalmologist, if your eye is infected, they need to be exonerated, they need to removed out. So first we have to think that we took the sample to diagnose first. So we took the even ENT doctor can do an endoscopy and get the sample or the tissue material and then send to the lab. There are the 2 provisions sending to the lab, one in the normal saline and another in the formalin. Formalin usually kill the fungus, and since it is kill the fungus, you have to use, you cannot grow in the lab. So the tissue that is present in a normal saline, that you have kept in the normal saline, should be sent to the microbiological laboratory for stain as well as culture. Well, as in the histopathology, you can send in the formalin. Okay. So now if it is a pulmonary infection, then there you have to do the bronchoscopy and get the bronchoalveolar lavage, that is a bowel, and then send to the, again in since there is a fluid, you can directly send into the for culture and stain to the microbiological lab. But you need to inform the lab about your suspicion and about what you want to get your diagnosis. Okay. Now, what are the things that in the microbiology lab, what the microbiologists do? They do a test known as the QS mount, where they put your material into the QS, that is hydrolyze all the human tissues, and only the filament, that is fungus filament, will be seen in the microscope, that is known as the QS mount. They can further do the stain, that is stains are like gram stain, fungal stain like PAS, methyamine silver stain, then there is a calcofluor white stain. So these all are the stain which we can do to diagnose or demonstrate the mucormycosis fungus. And another is the culture. The culture they can put into the culture media, that is the fungal media, that is Savaroid extrajagar, on which they grow in a few days, and after that we can again bring that fungus into the LPCP mount, that is lactophenol cotton blue mount, and where we can demonstrate the fungus. What is the characteristic of this fungus? How the microbiologist diagnose this fungus? There is a term called broad non-septate right angle branched. So we have came to know that this is a mold, this is a branching filamentous fungi, and their filament will be like broad, like if you have seen the ribbon broad and parallel. They are non-septate, there is no septa in between that, so it is a parallel, no septate, broad, non-septate and right angle. If they are branching, if there is branch somewhere, then there is right angle branch, more than 90 degree there is branching. So this by this they confirm that is this mucor. Unlike of that aspergillus, which is opposite to that, there is a narrow septate acute angle branch. So mucor is broad but aspergillus is narrow. Mucor is non-septate but aspergillus is septate. Mucor branch right angle but this angle has a acute angle. So since we are talking about the mucormycosis, we should know that is a broad non-septate right angle branch filamentous fungi, and that we can confirm as the mucormycosis and the stain. Now coming to the treatment. Look, treatment is a very important part. Treatment is why important part? Because that drug which is found known as the amphotericin B, that is a very nephrotoxic drug. There are two forms, that is the liposomal and one is deoxycholate. Although liposomal is found to be less nephrotoxic, but they both are the nephrotoxic drug and they are going to damage your kidney. So you need to understand this drugs treatment is not for about days, it is for weeks or month. So this is a long-term treatment, and since 1 or 2 doses even amphotericin B can damage your kidney, so you need to monitor the patient very carefully. And then other thing is you need to give this drug with the pre-medication, like you need to, the side effect of amphotericin. What are the options we have? We have the amphotericin B, then posaconazole and isavuconazole. Posaconazole and isavuconazole are not very commonly found in India and Nepal, although they have been found in India, but in Nepal we have no such widely available this drug, although amphotericin B is available. And amphotericin B, one is the liposomal, which is high cost, around $50 you can say of the liposomal, whereas the $5 of that deoxycholate. Okay. Now coming to the point of amphotericin B, since amphotericin B is a nephrotoxic drug and it has other side effects, like it causes hypotension, it causes fever, it causes allergy, it causes other major side effects like hypokalemia, magnesium electrolyte abnormality. So you need to be very careful before giving this medicine. You need to pre-medicate the patient. You need to give bolus of normal saline 500 to 1 liter before giving this medicine. Then you need to give him the paracetamol tablet. You need to give an antihistamine, that is Avil tablet, and you can even give 15 to 25 mg of hydrocortisone to prevent the allergic or other side effects of this amphotericin B. Then the point is that after giving the amphotericin B, there will be the renal damage, there will be renal tubular acidosis, but they are reversible. You have to know that these are not the permanent damage. If you can control the dose, if you can control this drug, then this changes can be reversed back. So they will lead to the hypokalemia and magnesium abnormality. So always you need to correct first magnesium, because without correcting magnesium, potassium will not be corrected. So first you correct the magnesium, and after correcting the magnesium you correct the potassium, and after correcting both of the things, now you can correct the electrolyte abnormality. So in this way now you can use the amphotericin base regularly. You have to give a once daily dose. Its dose is, if a liposomal, 5 mg per kg body weight, and that should be given in a 200 cc of dextrose, not normal saline, should be given in 200 cc of dextrose over 2 to 3 hours. You have to remember the drug stability is only for 4 hours. So within 4 hours you have to give the drug. If it is more than 4 hours, the drug will damage. So you have to give within the 4 hours, but you have to remember one more thing, that the slowly you give, the more chance of less side effect. So you should give this 200 cc of amphotericin B diluted in over 2 to 3 hours. That is important. Then there is another drug known as the posaconazole, although we can give as a step down therapy, but it can be, if the amphotericin B cannot be used by any means, then we can give the posaconazole. Posaconazole can be given as a loading dose and then come down to the maintenance dose. Loading dose is 300 mg PD and then followed by 300 mg OD can be given. And even we go to the isavuconazole, then there can be given 200 mg 3 times daily for 2 days. That is the loading dose, and followed by 200 mg OD on as a maintenance dose. So these two drugs, the posaconazole should be taken with a fatty meal. That is the important part. And these two drugs are not much side effect, but amphotericin B has, but these two drugs are not available mainly in Nepal. So we have come to the treatment points. I have make you understood the treatment are difficult. Even despite adequate treatment, the patient has the probability of chance of death. So you need to be very careful. What will be the treatment? Treatment will be reducing the risk factor. What are the risk factors that you need to be known very carefully? The risk factor were diabetes, long-term steroid use, neutropenia, If any cancer therapy, immunosuppressive therapy, the patient with diabetes has more chance. And if the patient have diabetes and use the steroid and has improved after the COVID-19, then this combination has made this infection more likely. Okay, so the reduce the risk factor. If diabetes, control the sugar. If I have steroid using, you stop the or taper the steroid. If there is immunosuppressive drug, that should be stopped. Then you should be surgical debridement of the dead tissue. The tissue that has been infected should be cleared out. If your eye is infected, you have to remove your eye. You need to be able to remove your eye to save your life. That's a lot of important thing. And after removing, then these drugs will work, and hope you will be improved. The major thing is to get prevented from this infection. You need to wear a mask. That should be a dry and clean new one if possible. If you are using daily, then you need to dry in sunlight. Otherwise, daily one mask that is being used repeatedly may bring this fungus infection more chance of increase of this fungal infection. So that should be kept in mind. Please be safe and avoid this mucormycosis, mainly this COVID associated mucormycosis, because you have came from the fighting a deadly disease already, coronavirus, and now you have been improved. You need to make your personal hygiene good. You need to wear a mask, not allow the sport to enter inside your body, and you will be safe. Thank you.